Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Good crisp morning, but they're saying we're going to have some almost record highs today in the low to mid 60s for January. That's crazy temperatures. But it's the crazy weather that we deal with. It's a roller coaster anymore. Want to talk to you today about some stuff that could possibly be happening that's going to affect many of you. And it's all connected with this zero carbon emissions, Agenda 2030 stuff. We'll get to that in a second. I do want to mention for those of you that are looking for people to meet with, looking for other like-minded individuals, had someone send me notification of a meeting. This is in Chesapeake, Virginia. So if you're in the Chesapeake, Virginia area, or you're in a decent drive to that, you should probably listen up because this group here is having a prepper meeting Sunday, January 22nd. That's this month, January 22nd. Meetings between 1 and 3 p.m. If you're wanting to get some information about it, there should be an email popping up here below. If you can just email that person. They're going to be talking about gardens, starting your spring gardens, seeds, making your own compost, things like that, which is necessary because spring is just around the corner. I know many of you are thinking, man, how can you talk about spring and gardening? It's cold right now. I know. But this is the time of the year that we start doing our garden planting. So if you're in the Chesapeake, Virginia area, email this person and see if you can go to their meeting and meet others and be part of what they're doing. Because that's a very important thing to be doing. What we're talking about is this has been in the news for the last couple of days. Some of you have probably already seen this, but apparently there is a push to ban gas stoves. Ban gas stoves, cooking stoves, propane, natural gas stoves in your home. Just the thought of this seems almost ridiculous. But in this article here, and you can read this article on just about all the major news agencies, they're talking about it. But this one here in Fox News, U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is considering a ban on gas stoves as concerns surround indoor air pollutants from appliances continue to rise, according to reports. So here we are, number one. We have an unelected body that's not legislative. They have no constitutional authority to make law, much like the ATF and the EPA and all the other alphabet soup people. But they are going to make law because they're a Consumer Product Safety Commission. They have all this grand authority, this wide sweeping authority to tell you what you can own in your home or not. Reported that the agency plans to act on appliances because of the pollutants and can cause respiratory health issues. Again, this is all in line. It doesn't say so in any of these articles. But as we've learned over the past several months, and if you do the research, you will see that the Agenda 2030 plan, the zero carbon emissions plan, it's all the same stuff. Part of what they're wanting to do is to eliminate these types of fuel, appliances. And, they've been hammering on wood stoves for the last few years, trying to over-regulate and eventually ban those and making it you're a criminal because you burn wood in your home. I mean, it's bad for you, even though that's what people have been doing to keep themselves in their homes for, forever. Of course, they want you to just use electricity. And the electrical grid has been so strong. There's not been any talks of outages. We've not seen any blackouts or anything like that. So, it makes sense to just switch over to electricity where it's more controllable. Okay, you don't have a 250, 500 gallon propane tank sitting in your yard that it's under your control for the most part. At least more than the electricity. They can turn the electricity on and off at their will. And that's what they want. They want you to have that. It says here that roughly 35% of homes in the U.S. have gas stoves, according to reports. These release carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and other matter that the World Health Organization and the EPA has deemed unsafe and can potentially cause cardiovascular problems, cancers, and other health conditions. So they want to get rid of that. Going on from this, it talks about, let's see here. It talks about their testing. President Joe Biden speaks about the Inflation Reduction Act, and in that Inflation Reduction Act, there is a rebate up to $840 to purchase new electric ranges. So it's funny how this is coming up after that. We didn't hear about that during the Inflation Reduction Act because it was just so vast, no one could go through it all. But now that it's passed, it's interesting. Oh, now we got to ban gas stoves. But guess what? We just happened to put an electric stove rebate in this Inflation Reduction Act. We've got Democrats sending letters to the, it says here that, federal lawmakers, all Democrats, sending letters to have these things banned. It's also happening on a local level. A lot of states are starting to put restrictions. This is about your freedom in a lot of ways. I know you might say, it's a gas stove. Yeah, I don't like it, but how's it about freedom? Well, number one, the vast majority of rural people use some type of gas stove. Gas stoves are predominantly used in those areas. Doesn't mean they aren't using electric, but they're predominantly used. They want to control, again, what you have in your home, just like heating your home. They don't want you to use wood heat where you're a little bit more self-sufficient, self-sustaining. You have more control over it. With me, I mean, we have a good supply of firewood. That's how we heat our home. But as you can see, when I make these videos, there's lots of wood on the property. And if for some reason we ran out, it wouldn't take me very long to take a saw or an axe, a chainsaw or something up in the woods, and I could have some wood to heat the home. So we don't really worry about that. We don't worry about heating our home because we have ample supply of wood on the property. Propane is the same way to a certain extent. Like I said, you can have a big tank. I mean, if you want, you can have a 2,500 gallon tank that would last you a very, very long time if you're just using it on a cook stove. You have a little bit more control over yourself with gas, and it's not as easy for them to just shut it off. They've pushed for years these smart meters on their homes. And now they can disconnect your home specifically. And this has been going on for a while. They can turn your home on and off at will. If you don't pay your electric bill, they can just push a button wherever they are, and you've lost electricity to your home. They don't have to send someone out. And if you pay your bill, many of you have gone through this cycle, you pay your bill, they get it turned back on. They don't have to send someone out to do it. They just turn it on wherever they're at. That's why they want to move to these smart meters, because they have much more control. They're able to regulate what you use, how much you use in very detail. They can't regulate how much you use with propane. If I want to stock up on propane for the next few years, I have pretty easy ways, other than the expense, that I can stock up on propane. I can't stock up on electricity, not for electric stoves. This is seriously about controlling you folks. This isn't an environmental thing. I don't doubt that these gas stoves emit some type of harmful emissions, but probably no different than all the different ways that they produce electricity and all the other emissions that are produced from flying around in their expensive private jets and their very long and large motorcades and so on, and their humongous homes and stuff. This is an attack really on the small man, the little guy, the rural person, the poorer people. A lot of your poorer sectors of society have gas stoves. It's also going to affect the restaurant. That'll be interesting how they do that. Most restaurants use gas stoves because it's just much more efficient. It makes more sense. It's easier, better to cook on. There's no guarantee that this is going to get passed, but I suspect it'll do the similar path as the wood stoves. They'll start by creating some new ridiculous regulations on production of gas stoves, which will make them a little bit more expensive. That's going to take a little bit more time to make them even safer. So it'll make them more expensive, and then they'll start phasing it out. In 5 years, you can't do this, and in another 5 years, you can't do this. But the fact is this is just more of what they're doing, folks. And like I said, this isn't just about some politician that's being paid by, the electric stove industry. This is really a part of this Agenda 2030 and their attack on your ability to take care of yourself. They do not want you using things that increase your independence. And as silly as it may sound, a gas stove is more that than an electric stove. If you're wanting to put a gas stove in, you probably should do it soon. I'm not going to tell you to be a criminal, but I'm going to have a gas stove whether they like it or not. Okay. And I have a wood stove. In fact, I have an old wood stove. My wood stove is not compliant with any of their regulations because my wood stove is actually older than I am. It's probably 50 some years old, and it works beautifully. It heats our home. Back when we were having the -10, -15 degree temperatures, we stayed a nice toasty 80+ degrees in the house. It does very well and doesn't use a lot of wood. So they can make their laws, and then I can interpret them my way and how I want to obey them or not. This is ridiculous. It's unconstitutional that these agencies are passing these regulations on to people and enforcing them as laws. And it's time we stand up. Folks, it's also time to get your houses in order, to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. I also wanted to say before I get off of here, for those of you that's lasted this long, I have a very interesting video this afternoon coming up at about 6 p.m., so be sure to watch that. I have a guest on, and I think you're going to really enjoy that. Folks, get your houses in order. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.